Hey everyone, welcome to the channel where we love to talk about movies. Welcome especially if you're new. If you enjoy talking about movies and staying up to speed on what's in theaters and what's worth checking out, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a review. Alright, with that we're going to get into today's review, which is for Smile. So starting off with a synopsis, after witnessing a bizarre, traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality. So I'm going to break this down just 5 kind of key points from the film that stood out to me, and then we'll wrap things up with just my final thoughts and a letter grade on the film. So first point that stood out to me that I liked about the film was just that it's an examination of basically the mental breakdown of a therapist. And yeah, I thought that was just interesting to watch because you know that she's good at her job. They established that very early on. And so she's sort of, like as a therapist, you know that she's capable of sort of self-diagnosing and being aware of maybe what she's going through. And it's interesting seeing like elements of that come through, but then falling short at the same time because it's easy to give other people advice. It's hard to give yourself advice when you're going through something. So I thought that was just really interesting. And I'm sure it's not the only thing ever to do that, but nothing readily comes to mind. I could probably think of some if I tried. But for a horror film, when you've got people basically kind of going crazy or seeing things, that I think it's even more interesting when that person is a therapist who's trained to help people with that sort of a thing. So that was the first point. The second point that I liked about the film was its examination of relationships, specifically between Rose and her fiance and Rose and her ex, and basically how what she's going through impacts both of those relationships, and then how both of them also respond to that. So we won't get into like specifics, but it's interesting seeing her fiance and his reaction, and then her ex and his reaction, and kind of how she leans on them differently. And I don't know, I thought it was just a good examination of what goes into a relationship and what that kind of means as far as being there for somebody, especially when they're at their lowest and when they need you. The third point is again on relationships, but it's more specifically, instead of being with her fiance and her ex, it's her relationship with her sister, which I'll also lump in there her relationship with her nephew and just how that develops over, or like the development that we get in the film on that. I won't spoil it, but that's kind of all I'll say on that. But for her sister more specifically, I think when she's first introduced, I didn't realize that she was her sister, and then I thought she was maybe just her friend, but then it kind of became very clear like they wouldn't be friends, kind of given their different personalities and how they treat each other. So I started to pick up on the fact that they were sisters, I think, shortly before they actually revealed it, or basically right at the same time. It at least made sense. But given that they have a pretty like traumatic past in general, it's interesting seeing how that shapes their current life. And there again, I think how it plays out in the film is just a very realistic take. It feels like these are real characters dealing with real stuff, and it was nice to see that on screen. The fourth thing that I liked a lot about the film was the ending, and I'll keep it spoiler free, but if you've seen it, maybe you know, and you'll know what I'm kind of talking to. But as the third act was getting going, I was thinking more and more on like how I was going to grade the film, and as it was playing out, I was not very content with how it was playing out. And then the third act finished, and by the end I was actually very content and very happy with how they concluded the film. So it was a little bit of a roller coaster in the third act, but I really appreciate that, and I'm very happy with the direction that they went, and not the direction that it looked like they were going, and where they could have gone. We'll say it that way. But yeah, so I quite enjoyed the ending and how they wrapped things up in this one. The fifth point that I liked about the film was Sosie Bacon. She plays the main character, Rose, and I thought she did just a phenomenal job of playing this. Yeah, like you she starts off, or she's a therapist. She's a very reasonable, educated person, very kind-hearted, very hardworking, very passionate about her work. And then going through what she goes through, it was just, I thought, yeah, very, very believable performance. It certainly, the film wouldn't have worked without her, giving the performance that she did. So I thought that was worth calling out. Notably, I mean, I think all the actors did a good job, but she in particular is what carried the film. So those are the 5 things that stood out to me about the film. Overall, I give this one a B. Like I said, as far as like how the third act was playing out, I was starting to land in the C category, but by the end it came out to a B, and I was very happy being able to kind of correct or like get to that point as the film concluded. But yeah, I think just even talking to like the 5 points that I brought up, I generally try to focus more on the positives in the 5 points where I can, but not too many negatives that I can think of. It's certainly not like the most groundbreaking horror, but I found it interesting, especially with the main character, and I liked where they went with the film. So yeah, not something you necessarily have to go out of your way to see, but I thought it was worth checking out. And yeah, if you're looking for something to watch, I think it's worth the watch. As a horror film, I think it helps to see it on the big screen. That just enhances the horror elements of it, getting the loud noises and the jump scares. I think that's hard to get on a smaller screen and at home unless you have a nice home theater. So if you're going to check it out, I think it's worth checking out in theaters. And yeah, if you have had a chance to check it out, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this review, be sure to smash that like and subscribe button. And with that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.